Hi folk, I'm Patrick, and welcome to Calimacil, and today I can hide my enthusiasm and I want to introduce you to Raquel Skellington.
Hi everybody, nice to be here. Thank you so much for having me, Patrick. It's been really great getting to visit Canada and see all that Calimacil has to offer. Thanks for having me.
You're my pleasure, Raquel. I so many questions to ask you, but one I think my favorite one is how did you balance your life about being Raquel and being Raquel Skellington?
Whew. So that's a great question. So it took me kind of a long time to figure out who even Raquel Skellington is, you know? Like, I think when anybody first starts to create and they have a persona, they think of it as just themselves. It's just you, right? And that's what I thought in the beginning, but really Raquel Skellington is an extension of me. You know, it's kind of like, I don't know how any other way to say it than like a drag persona, like drag queens do, where it's an elevated version of themselves that is like creative and fantastical, and that's who she is to me. Like when I get to go places as like Raquel Skellington, she can do anything and be anyone and take the world by storm. You know, she's everything I wanted to be growing up, and like I embody her, and she's also me. So it's, you know, understanding the separation of my personal life, which is, you know, who I am with no cameras, who I am when I'm not LARPing, but understanding that who I am when I am LARPing or when I am here, like with you, it's me, but this version of me that can do anything, you know?
Yeah, I pretty understand it. I have to change my hat a couple of times a day here, running the company.
You do a lot.
Yeah, we have to share our time with lots of different tasks and develop some competencies like you do in your work.
Yeah.
And it sounds like also to be pretty demanding to have professional fun.
Yeah, professional fun. That's exactly what it is. It's professional fun, and I'm thankful that, you know, LARPs can be at all sorts of different levels. You can have the super big, high production stuff, and then, you know, what I've tried to make sure I make time to do for me personally is go to smaller LARPs, go to things with my friends, things that keep me still, like allow me to just also be me as I am without having to worry about, you know, posting it on Instagram or doing things, because it's still my favorite thing to do. So I want to make sure that, yes, I love doing LARP as my job, but I also just like it, and I have to make sure that I give myself space and time to just like it and just enjoy it, and not everything has to be production or, you know, Instagram or Facebook, that I can just still go to LARPs and nobody has to know.
And I'm sure our fans would like to know how did you start from fun, from passion, and become a career in LARP industry. How did you make that step? Is it was planned? Did you dream so long for that, or it just suddenly it happened? What is the transition key?
Well, it happened by accident. I didn't even know something like this, like what I'm doing now, could even be in the realm of reality. Like it wasn't even something in my mind when I was younger, because I started so young. I just wanted to play, and I would just talk about it online, because I grew up with Instagram, and I grew up with Facebook, and I grew up with Twitter, and I would just post, and then one day people were like, well, that's pretty cool, and it just kind of blew up. And I didn't know what to do.
You realize you have followers,
yeah.
and it's whoa.
And like companies are like, we want to sponsor you. We want you to come to our game, and I'm like, okay, that sounds great. I'll do that. And I realized that, like, even though it wasn't something that I could have ever expected, I do feel that there is a sense of responsibility. That if you have a platform, I want to use it for good. I want to use it to make the community better, not just for me, but like for everybody else. And you know, if I could tell myself when I was a teenager what I'd be doing now, I probably wouldn't believe it anyway. But it's very much like now it's probably when you walk the path, like when somebody does this once, now that I've done this, other people can do it. And that's what I want. I want other people to do this. I want other people to, you know, I don't know, become
share their
LARP
passion.
famous. Yeah, and do what they love. That's what it's about, because we are only the stories that we leave behind, and we are only the impact we leave behind. And I want to make a good impact, and I want to leave behind a good impact. So I may not be, you know, Raquel Skellington forever, but if I'm her now and I'm her for a little while, I want to make the most of it. You know what I mean?
It's building a community.
Yes, exactly. And, you know, I think there are people who have tried to plan to be, like, to do this, and it doesn't usually end up working out for them, because I'm only where I am because the community believes in me. I am only here sitting with you because my community in the United States believed in me, and they wanted me, oof, I'm gonna get emotional. They wanted me here. They wanted to support me and my art and my craft. And I have truly realized over the years that if you want to succeed, you must have the community behind you. And I'm thankful that they believe in me.
Is your parent become part of that community? They were supportive from since early beginning?
Yeah, I think in the beginning, my parents were definitely like, what is this? Like, what are you going to go do?
What a weird hobby.
Yeah, they were like, what? But, you know, even back then, my parents, they won't admit it, and I'm sorry for outing them, total nerds. They just don't like to wear it on their sleeve. But my dad is a huge, like, Marvel Comics fan.
Oh.
He loves Spider-Man and all of that. And my mom, like, they all love nerd stuff, but, you know, I guess for them, they didn't ever really get to express it the way that they wanted to when they were growing up. And I think it was important to them to give me the freedom and the avenue, not only to do it, just explore it, but to feel confident that, like, my family, you know, thinks my art is serious and thinks it's real. And you know, I won't lie to you, when I told my dad that I was going to be you know, go professionally LARP, he was like, I don't know if that's a thing, Rocky. And I was like, well, it's not, but I think I can make it a thing. And now, years later, he, you know, while I've been here, they're just so proud of me, and they have been so supportive, and I am very thankful for that. I think that growing up Black in America can be very tough, and my parents, even though my interests were very out there, they wanted to make sure that not only, again, that I was supported, but that I felt safe, and that I could always come back to them with, you know, my stories and whatever nonsense I've gone and done in the forest. So thanks, Mom and Dad.
Do you think that is accessible to everyone? Is everyone could LARP?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, LARPing, fundamentally, when you take away all the lights, when you take away the costumes, it's just playing pretend. It's just imagination. It's just, you know, role play. It's all of those things, and anybody can do that. I did that as a kid.
Yeah, but I hear people say, I have no imagination, I would like to draw something, and I have no idea, so I'm gonna create a character, I'm gonna get introduced. I don't know even what to say when people reach me about talking me about a real mermaid or something, not like a mage in my side. How could you advise people how to introduce people? You pretty convinced me that is accessible to everyone, but I still hearing in the voices say, who can really LARP? What is the need? What is the buying?
So what LARP takes fundamentally at its core is, again, it's pretend, right? But if everybody else is really into it around you, if everybody else, in the United States, we have a term for this where it's called the buy-in. And so the buy-in, if everyone is buying in, right? If everyone sees a mermaid and all of them are truly in earnest, reacting like, wow, my God, that's a mermaid, it feels like that's a mermaid. Like, yeah. I find that LARP, if you go into it genuinely, if you really want to try it and you don't go like, I'm gonna go LARP and ha 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 and whatever, if you really try it and you really allow yourself, okay, I can feel a little silly, okay, I can not take myself so seriously. I think if people are allowed to be vulnerable in that aspect, or they allow themselves to be vulnerable in that aspect, anybody can LARP and anybody can become a pro at it, because fundamentally it's an art. Drawing is an art.
You hear that, being vulnerable.
Vulnerable.
Thank you very much. That's a key to have the buy-in.
Yes, you have to be vulnerable. You have to be, realistic, and you have to trust. You have to trust your community. You have to trust the game that you're in, which is why it's so important that they have to be safe, is because you're exploring all of these different parts of yourself and all these different scenarios that you can be in, and you have to know that when you're doing it, you're safe.
You experiment many lives in...
Oh yes, many lives. Hundreds of lives at this point.
That's very interesting. Tell me about your best moment in LARP, where all the key ingredient was together at the same moment, and that's become driving magic.
So I'll give you 2 examples. So there was one in
Sure, you
Europe.
have many.
I'm sure, yeah. So I want to give a shout out to the Europeans and the Americans, because I've had great experiences, but they're fundamentally different. And when my favorite LARP of all time, like no contest, was a LARP called Fairweather Manor, and it took place in Poland at this castle. And it was like, have you heard of like Downton Abbey? And like, like that Titanic era, like 1910s era. It was all about these nobles getting together, and there was this wedding, and alliances had to be made, and marriages and stuff like that. And I played this girl that was, she was supposed to be the most beautiful girl in all of Ireland, but she couldn't have a husband because she was so into fairy tales that she wanted to find her Prince Charming, and she would throw any man out who didn't immediately fit that concept. And so I went into this LARP wanting to experience like a romance novel, like the drama, the love triangle, everything, and it happened. The community was so good. Everything was so transparent. So you were able to post like, hey, this is the play that I want. This is what I'm looking for, and people be like, I can do that, or I'm excited. I can be your enemy. I can be your friend. I can be the person you end up with and want to marry. And it was this crazy mix of, gosh, intrigue and romance. It was just like lightning in a bottle. And I have never experienced it the same anywhere else but Fairweather Manor, where I felt like I was in a living romance novel. And I had these 2 guys, that one was a noble and the other one was an artist, and my family wanted me to marry the noble, but he ended up being a terrible man, and I loved the artist, but I would lose my fortune and my title, and my family would disown me, and it was this fantastic story. So I definitely, overall, Fairweather Manor showed me that LARP is not just fighting, because there was no fighting there. It was just purely role play. It showed me that, like, wow, you don't have to have the weapons, you don't have to have, the magic or the fantasy. It could just be people doing these intricate emotional stories, and boom, it was magic. And here in America, there's a game I've been going to now for a couple of years called Damarung, and it's a saga LARP, which means every real world year that passes, 25 years pass in the game. So your characters are aging, and they're having kids, and those kids are growing up, and people will play your kids, and people will play your grandkids.
Like an accelerated life.
Yeah, like an accelerated life. And so I started the game as a young girl, and then in the second season, I was married and I had a kid, and I was a mom. And then going into season 3, which is going to be this year, I'm gonna be old. And I get to be old and see my kids grow up and see what they do in the LARP world, and how they play the game. And it's been like a crazy experience, kind of getting to, be pregnant and married and old, and I haven't done any of these things yet, and it's kind of amazing to see. Maybe that's how I will feel when I'm a mom, or maybe that's what I'll do, or maybe not. And it was also the LARP that made me meet my partner, Nathan, and I don't know where I'd be without him. So, and both of these, as you can probably see, like, both of these experiences offer different things, but magic about what makes a LARP magic is the people and your willingness to just give it to the experience. Just give in, be there, be present in the game, and you'll have an amazing time. And you'll find your lightning moment.
Yeah, but that's really need a place that's just inclusive and full of respect, and
Yes.
that's kind of special people need to be there, or it's any kind of situation that a LARP organizer got to put together to make it safe, to make it so you can deeply go into your character and
Yes.
not having this fear of something could
Going wrong
Yeah.
or hurting you. Yes, absolutely. Like it is on the designers to create a space where people can feel safe, that they can experiment with different themes and concepts. And I will be honest with you, sometimes LARP can get very dark. It can go into dark themes and dark places. But as long as everybody there knows that they can go to the staff if something is wrong, they can, depend on their community members to support them, or they even many LARPs even have a space where people can go out of game to just kind of
cool down
and breathe and relax, and like those things are key to making sure that an experience is fun and enjoyable and safe.
So Raquel, what type of character you like to play most?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so in the States we call it archetypes. So it's like, what archetype do you like to be the most? I would say deep in my bones, my very first LARP character was quite the true reflection of what I like to play. And I love playing healers. And I love playing people who, in earnest, want to help the world or the people that they're in. Like my first character was an excellent healer, and that's all she wanted to do. She wanted to become a better fighter so that she could go on the battlefield and support the fallen. Or my character from Damarung, her name is Anu. She is an herbalist, which is like heals with herbs and medicines, and she has tried to fight. She's a pacifist and tries to fight for peace amongst all of the factions and all of the groups, and combat violence with wisdom or peace. And so I find myself always really drawn to characters like that, or characters that support the world. Like I have a tavern maid at this LARP called Malleus, and I don't fight. I am not allowed to. I'm a commoner, so no swords for commoners. And all I do is cook food and serve beer and wine at the tavern, and I love it. I love it because I just get to interact with everybody the whole game, and I get to influence so many parts of the game just by being in the tavern, just by playing the character, and I love characters that allow me to do that. So I would say I love to play healers, and I love to play characters that just add to the world. They don't have to be special. They don't have to be a princess or queen or anything.
Not the hero in the front line.
No, I think sometimes the most powerful people aren't always necessarily the ones in the front line. They are the people that are able to make camaraderie or able to have people listen to them. And I haven't done it yet, but I do want to play like a political character, but not yet. Soon.
Oh, except the political character, I would like to say playing healer, it's safer if you want to stay up to the end of the game, being the fighter on the front line.
Yes, if in a battle, well, I can't say that I've never been on the front line. I definitely have as a healer. It's just more about, I'm very fast. I run really fast.
Yeah, I can
so
see
you can't catch me. You can't hit me if you can't catch me. So that's how I try and approach that.
As an artist, how did you design your character? I'm very interested about that. How do we create a new character and you say, okay, that's that game I'm gonna play? Yeah.
I think
what is missing? It's like a book writer that you when we write story, fantasy story, there is a way to design character to make it most interactive as possible, to make it complementary of the game, but you don't know about the game. You don't control everything. You just control yourself and your character. So why you design it? What is the purpose? What is the objective behind? What do you have in mind?
Well, even though you can't control what happens in the game, most LARPs have like a theme. Like, there's Witcher School, right? I don't know what happens at Witcher School, but I know how I would want to create my Witcher character. And I think about it from the inside out. And sometimes that's not always true, but most of the time I think about, okay, what is the type of archetype do I want to play? Do I want to play a healer? Do I want to play somebody that's mischievous? Do I want to play somebody who's evil? Like how, I pick the traits that I'm interested in exploring. And then I think, okay, well, where are they from within the world that they're in? Are they from a cold place, a warm place? Because that will influence, first off, probably their traditions or how they dress. And then I think about, okay, well, now that I know who they are and how they'll look, what will they do? And that will depend really on what happens in the game. And so I try and keep my concepts open enough where they can be flexible. Because the thing is that nobody, at LARP, you can write a backstory, but nobody really will read it. Nobody's gonna care, okay? So it's about not maybe making this huge detailed backstory, but about having simple concepts or simple traits that you can easily come back to or change if you find that it's not working for you. Like my character Odette, the tavern maid I was telling you about. When I first started playing her, I played her as this mischievous, tavern maid that was a spy and everything, but I ended up, as I continued to play her, being like, I see something different for her. Like, as you play a character, you get to know them.
The character evolve into the game.
100%, exactly.
You understand it more.
Yes, and so instead of making her, mischievous, I actually ended up making her very religious, and so she became very devout and very virtuous, and that's been, and I've never done something like that before, but it felt right for her, and that's the best way I can describe how I play a character. I make a easy concept, and then I play the game and mold it as I go sometimes.
Yep, and it's like molding weapon, where you understand what you do by doing it, then doing more and doing more, and then you discover something you never know, and it's happened. That's not the key clue that you want to make it at the first beginning.
Yes.
But then mistakes maybe turns out into discovery.
It's 100%. Exactly like that, actually. And I think LARP, and you build skill. It's an art, so arts take practice. Trust me, I've tried building a sword here. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. And LARP is the same way. You learn what you like to play, you learn what you don't like to play, you learn what's a challenge, what's not, and how to interact with those things. And the only way to know that is to do it.
How did you get out of your visit of Calimacil?
So, I've had the absolute privilege of being able to travel a lot and LARP around the world. And, I have gone and seen other companies, I've been there, but I don't know. I guess when you think of Calimacil, because I grew up with Calimacil, I was 15 years old. Yeah, I grew up with your weapons in my world as a child, and I grew up with all of these different companies, and then one day being able to go there, it's wow, it feels like a dream come true. And coming here, I don't know, my perception of what Calimacil was that it was it's a big corporation, and probably everything's done by machines because you guys make so many swords, and it's all this and that, and I was ready to, I don't know, kind of see the normal process I have seen elsewhere. Mm-hmm. And when I came here, and I've hung out with you guys for a week now, it was really refreshing to see that it's not about just, how much you can sell and how this and that. You guys care about what you're creating. I mean, the fact that you run this company but you're still developing things, I think is so cool. And it shows, when I saw that you guys make every weapon by hand, you paint them by hand, and you put them together by hand and ship them out, all I could think about was how I have seen hundreds and hundreds of swords out all over the world, and to think that they were made by somebody here by hand, that blew my mind.
Dedicated person.
Very dedicated, and everybody here is so creative. And even if not necessarily everyone here has LARPed, or some have and some haven't, everybody is clearly very passionate about what they're doing here. And I think that really shows in the way you run this business. I think it shows in the way you make your swords and the quality of your product, and even the things that you haven't shown yet, and all of your ideas, I think are incredible and clearly show a thoughtful understanding of what the community wants, what they need, and how you can make it better. And I appreciate that.
Thank you very much. That's really appreciated. That's how we get through COVID. I say to my team, we got a mission. We focus to it. We got to make people dream. We're selling dreams, but we'll deliver product. So the product have to be as expecting the dream are, as to reach that level of expectation.
I think they do. And I think the fact that you guys have also reached out to other companies, and you're all working together, it's exactly what I said earlier. We all succeed when we are together. We all succeed when we work together. And I think it's a beautiful thing. And I support what you guys are doing here.
That's part of our value.
And I love it.
We have so much question again. I will pass my afternoon if you're asking question, but we're going to finish with some quick question because I know we want to fence.
We have to fight.
We have to fight a bit. So, what is your favorite movie?
Okay, if I'm very honest, my favorite movie, I have two. One is Pleasantville, and the other one is Tropic Thunder. One's a comedy and one's a drama, and I think Tropic Thunder is the funniest movie on the planet. Love it. 10 out of 10, we'll watch it every day.
Favorite animal?
I think,
tough question.
Yeah, that is a tough question. I think my favorite animal that I keep going back to, I actually really like dogs and I like bunnies.
Oh, yeah.
I can't choose between the two. Bunnies and dogs are my favorite.
I'll bring a bunny tomorrow.
Yes!
What is the worst place to make you wait?
Okay, the DMV. Which is like, I guess for here in Canada, that's like where we go and register our cars.
Best meal, is it what you eat, is people around you, or the place you eat?
I think it's a little bit all of them. My favorite meal on the face of the earth is Peking duck, which is like a Chinese duck meal. I love Peking duck, but any meal that I share with like my boyfriend or my friends always ends up usually being a great meal too.
Can you sing?
No!
Ever play an animal in LARP?
Not yet, but I'm hoping to this year. And I guess, are insects animals?
So I guess mermaid doesn't count.
Well, no, it's a mythical creature, not an animal.
A talent that you never expect to have?
Never expected, a talent I never expected to have. Honestly, photography and like marketing, like understanding like market stuff. I don't know, it's not anything I thought I would ever do because I liked computers and stuff. So having this great understanding of like social media and like pictures and things is like, okay, well I guess I do that now.
Yep, can't progress without it.
Yeah. Okay, Patrick, so you've asked me many questions.
Of course.
And I have a question for you.
Oh.
So there's a high expectation that I'll be coming back from my visit here and be able to fight. And I was wondering if you would teach me how.
We have a perfect place right there. Would you like to follow me?
Yes, let's go. You're gonna teach me how.
All right, follow us. There we go. See you then. I tried to disarm you.
Yes, you almost did.
You hold it well.
Thank you.
It's not possible to disarm you. You can touch my arm, you can touch my body.
Okay.
So the leg is not a good. If
Good
you want to
try.
win.
If you want to win, you gotta go for the heart.
It's beautiful, it's safe.
Okay.
But if you want to win, you touch the end. You touch the arm. That's why we have the shield to protect the arm.
Because it's valuable. Can't fight if you lose your hand. Okay.
Great.
You got me working out.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Loved it.
I love it too.